Hey, Anthony.
Hey, Saige.
Do you think corporate consolidation is bad? Hello, good morning.
Good morning, BBs. It's too early.
It sure is.
Welcome to the first, best, and only morning show in existence. I'm Anthony Carboni.
And I'm Saige Ryan.
And we just want to start off the day with a big congratulations to our friends at Microsoft for making that $3 trillion valuation. Congratulations, Microsoft. You know, it just goes to show that you can be one guy with a dream and a mother on the board of one of the largest technology corporations in the world. And from there, you can become
anything can happen.
One of the largest technology companies in the world. And there are no downsides, Saige.
No, everybody wins.
Everybody wins.
When they win.
$3 trillion. God.
I mean, you know, if you picture $3 trillion, you're like, wow. I mean, $3 trillion could do a lot.
$3 trillion.
$3 trillion could be such a good thing.
$3 trillion, you could for $3 trillion provide so much valuation to people who have invested in your corporation. You could make so many lines go up with $3 trillion.
You could also end homelessness and world hunger. Actually, both with the same amount of money.
How do that make line go up?
Like, you don't have to even pick one.
No, but Saige,
so one lump of money, you could actually do both of those things.
Saige, quick question. Do that make line go up or down?
I mean, I guess it depends on which line.
Big line.
If it's
big green line.
If it's the line of how many people are homeless and hungry, that line definitely would go down.
That's not the line, Saige.
Oh, what's the line?
We're talking about the line. We're talking about the markets, baby.
Oh,
we're talking
the
about
markets.
The money markets,
hey, that's where
baby.
that one little piggy went.
That's right. That piggy went right to that market and he said, what's left for me? And Microsoft said, nothing, bitch. We got $3 trillion.
So that little piggy went to the market. And that piggy's name?
Microsoft?
It was Jonathan Microsoft.
And Stephen Microsoft?
Yeah.
Alexander W. Microsoft?
Yeah.
Don't use my name in vain.
Good morning, Alex.
Good morning,
do you have anything
Alex.
to say to our good friends at Microsoft on this, the greatest day of their lives?
Good morning and a very fuck you.
Good morning, Alex.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm actually pretty good today. It's a
All
big
right,
day.
okay.
Woke up on the right side of the bed, I will say.
I love to hear that. Anthony, how are you doing? We missed you on Wednesday.
I'm so good.
Xander stepped in.
Yep.
Very kindly. We reacted to that Avatar: The Last Airbender trailer. Have you watched it?
Yes, I have.
Do you
It's
have
so
any thoughts on it after?
Probably nothing that you did not iterate in the 90 minutes, but yes, I loved it.
We spent a straight hour just breaking down the trailer.
Yeah.
We really did, just for a trailer.
Yeah, no, it looks great. I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's a great trailer.
Hey,
What up?
that's 5,000 layoffs in the games industry just in this month.
It is 5,000 layoffs in the games industry.
Almost 6,000.
Well, yeah, in
Over
like December
5,000.
and January. Not in just January so far. Is that so far this year?
That's January.
That's January?
Yeah, because Microsoft laid off 1,900 this morning in games.
Yes, because Microsoft did lay off 1,900 people yesterday.
It's very cool. It's very cool to make record soaring profits.
Yeah.
And then just cut everybody loose who gave you those profits.
A lot of those layoffs hit Activision Blizzard post-acquisition, which is something that when we talked about the acquisition, we were like, okay, well, that's what happens next, right?
This is going to happen.
Like, you're consuming this team. They're definitely going to scale back now that they're not their own independent company, or independent, but you know what I mean, like standalone company. And we knew that the layoffs were inevitable. That doesn't by any means make it okay. And we certainly didn't think it was going to be almost 2,000
2,000 people. Yeah, and this is just becoming par for the course in the industry. There have been thousands and thousands of layoffs over the last few months as these corporations are reporting record profits, which is very cool. Just in this Microsoft deal, remember that they paid billions of dollars. It was something like $14 billion for this acquisition. They paid $14 billion for this acquisition. Robert W. Kotick, W stands for worst man.
Yeah.
Robert the worst man Kotick got hundreds of $1 millions in bonus to walk away.
Yeah, got his golden parachute.
To make the company look better to everyone.
Yeah.
And then they said, was that 2,000 people that make all the video games? We don't need to make video games. We need to make value.
Yeah.
And the way to make value is to make profit on video game with very little overhead.
Right. Hey, Anthony.
Hey, Saige.
Do you think corporate consolidation is bad?
Wow. That's a complex question, Saige, and there are many factors that point to yes, abso-fucking-lutely. It is the absolute worst. Most of these layoffs that we saw in the last year were through corporate consolidation, particularly by the Embracer Group.
Yeah.
Once you get embraced, once you get that loving embrace of the group, they tend to just shut you down.
Drown you?
Yeah.
Yeah. We are noticing a pattern with this here corporate consolidation of it all, that people are having a harder time finding work that isn't under one of the few monopolies that are in the space. But those monopolies continue to lay off thousands of people per year.
It's
so then
very cool.
You get laid off from one of them and you go to what? The other one?
Nope.
The other one company?
There is no other one.
Oh.
There is no other one.
You go to Embracer, you go to Microsoft, you go work for one of those, and then you get laid off, and then what?
Well, here's the thing. The amount of shuffling around of money and people that happens in corporations is very interesting, but it mostly happens for some reason that we cannot fathom or understand with our tiny plebeian minds.
Yeah.
At the executive level. If we can't find a place for you here, maybe you can go to one of our other subsidiaries. Maybe you can go to another corporation here. It's so strange that these 1,900 people, there was nowhere in the entire Microsoft corporation where any of their talents or skills were needed at all.
Yeah.
So strange. So strange.
How interesting. A company that has so many other companies that make video games.
So
Didn't
odd.
need anybody that makes video games.
Well, the thing is, trying to find new places for people is actually a cost.
Yeah.
And what they're trying to do is get rid of costs.
Yeah.
So it's actually easier if you could just get fired, just absolutely get dunked on.
Yeah.
If you could just absolutely get stuffed.
If you could simply wreck.
If you could
If you could simply choke.
If you could just choke and then on your own
Yeah.
submit your resume to one of our other subsidiaries.
Yeah. Because we own all of them.
Yeah.
Because everywhere you could work for the job that you specialize and have experience in is also owned by us.
So between Tencent, Embracer, Microsoft, and some of the other corporations that are now consolidating even more, there are fewer and fewer actual opportunities for people within the industry. It may seem like video games are making more money than ever, and that's only, Saige, that's only because they are.
Yeah.
It only seems like video games are making more money than ever because they are making more money than ever.
Right, yeah.
So, but it only seems that way, and that's why they need to cut down. There aren't actually as many opportunities in video games as you would think, even though they are larger than ever, take more work than ever, and make more money than ever.
And the budgets are getting bigger for the games,
Oh,
which you would think
Saige,
would allow you
budgets are crazy
to keep
huge.
hiring people with that money that you're allocating towards the games.
Saige, these budgets are so huge. Think about what it costs to make a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Double it.
Double it,
Pass it to the next person. Double it.
and pass it to Embracer?
Double it. Give it to Embracer. Embracer says double it. Give it to 2K. 2K says double it. Give it to Tencent.
Yeah.
We're talking about billion-dollar games. And who makes those games? Saige? Fucking nobody. Nobody makes
You don't
games.
need people to make the games.
Sonic the Hedgehog just exists.
Yeah.
Also,
The budgies aren't for people.
no, and
That's
also
not where the budgies going.
listen.
Listen.
People. No, the budgies don't go to people. The budgies go to cool cape physics,
Yeah.
on the assassin with the creed.
Done by no one?
Done by no one.
Okay.
It's wild.
And sports cars.
Yeah, it's crazy. What does it take to model a completely physically realistic sports car? Nothing. Just a computer.
Yeah. Computers aren't people.
Computers aren't people, and they don't need to be paid.
That's silly.
Idiots. Congratulations, Microsoft. And congratulations to every corporation in the game industry that's valuing imaginary money over real people.
You know, hey, I just felt compelled to do a quick definition check on a corporate monopoly. And the exact definition is a monopoly exists when one company and its product dominate an entire industry where there is little to no competition and consumers must purchase specific goods or services from that one company.
Weird. It's almost as though just a few months ago, somebody was trying to say that Microsoft might be barreling towards one of those. Who was it? Was it every governing body in the world and trade commission?
For America?
Yeah. Huh.
We do tend to actually be so okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, why wouldn't we be?
If I could make a book recommendation.
Here's the thing about Monopoly.
Okay.
Cool little man, top hat. You could be dog or car.
Or a thimble.
Or thimble. Monopoly, great. Monopoly guy, monocle?
No.
No monocle.
That's a Mandela
You're
effect.
misremembering.
Yeah. That's the cornucopia of the Fruit of the Loom logo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I could make a book recommendation while we're talking about how awful capitalism currently is, I just finished
50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
You're
Anyways,
a little late on that one.
yeah, I just finally finished it, and I was just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because it feels like we're all getting tied down and absolutely fucked by capitalism.
Was there another book that you had to put down to read 50 Shades of Grey?
Yeah, it was Madeline Pendleton's I Survived Capitalism, and all I got was this lousy t-shirt, which just came out this month. I finished it very quickly because it was wonderful.
If you don't follow Madeline on TikTok, she's amazing.
Yeah, Madeline Pendleton is a creator and small business owner that talks a lot about running ethical business and just in general, as the book title would imply, about surviving capitalism. I am obviously a huge fangirl for Madeline's content. I bought the physical copy of the book and the audiobook because I was like, we don't know where my bandwidth is going to be realistically.
Sure.
I finished the audiobook so quickly. I don't think I've ever returned to an audiobook that fast. And it's really great and genuinely does have a lot of really useful shit for surviving capitalism.
You listen to audiobooks at regular speed?
No. I
What do you
listened
do?
to this one at pretty much regular speed though.
How fast do you go?
I usually only go up to a 1.5.
I can go 1.5 sometimes. But there's something about like the way the audio changes and the digital artifacting.
I think 1.4 is perfect.
I do
personally.
a 1.4.
Yeah.
Just that's the sweet spot.
It is.
I do a 1.25 just because I use the slider and it has
Yeah.
you know.
It has everything in there. So it depends. I listen to a lot of boring, droning men talk about like capitalism recently because I refuse to let them have all of the fucking secrets and I want to know what those assholes are up to. So I've been listening to a bunch of those like shitty dude books. You gotta speed those up.
Yeah.
You gotta speed those boring guys up so bad.
That's why speed dating was invented.
Yeah, because you simply cannot be listening to more than 20 seconds of these men talking. But I would say Madeline's book, I think I listened to at like 1.1, like just slightly sped up. Probably because I watch so much of her content that like her cadence is comforting to me.
You ever listen to an audiobook slowed down 800%, chopped and screwed, no thunders?
Yeah.
That's the best.
Yeah, to fall asleep to.
That's the absolute best. Hey, on a serious note, this is an absolutely terrible thing that's going on within the industry. And definitely our hearts go out to everybody, all of our friends and people we know, acquaintances, and the people we don't know who have been affected by this.
Yeah.
You know, just last week, I mean, it's affecting everything within games and tech. You know, just last week we had massive Twitch layoffs, or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, we had Discord, we had Twitch. Before that was obviously Epic. Like, it's been absurd.
And it's important to for us to note as the people that use these things every day. Take a look at the layoffs compared to the profits that are reported, not just, at the end of last year, but we're heading into the beginning of the new fiscal year. We're about to have all these corporate earnings calls. Really listen, pay attention, make sure you've noted down who has done the big layoffs and who is announcing amazing profits.
Yeah.
And do not be silent. There's not tons, obviously, that we can do individually, but we can make sure that these corporations feel horrible through their marketing and PR teams. And on a local level and on a state level, you can be sure that you're voting in people who are anti-corporate consolidation and are for workers' rights.
To the best of your ability. I know it's about to come up from the fiscal year, but in 2023, the Microsoft Corporation did report a net income, not a gross, net income, so that's just profit, of $72.4 billion.
That's not enough. No, you know what? We were talking a lot about it, and we were talking a lot of shit. But now that I heard that,
now that you hear it's only $72.4 billion.
Yeah, in net prop, that's not enough because they got a bit like. I mean, like they bought a gigantic coffee can to bury in the backyard to bury their money in, and that'll fit at least $100 billion. And it's like, you gonna let that coffee can go to waste? You know where my grandfather used to hide money? You want to know where
was it a coffee can?
There was a coffee can, not to sacrifice his OPSEC, but my grandfather did not trust the banks or the government because he survived the Holocaust.
Yeah.
And so he would hide money, like literally if a relative died, we would go to their houses with sledgehammers and crowbars to see if there was money in the floors, in the walls, if there was money sewn into the lining of clothes.
Yeah.
One time my mother reached into the crisper and got out something wrapped in foil she thought was like a bunch of grapes. Opened it up, it was a wad of cash. Because they simply did not trust banks or the government. Yeah. And I remember when I was old enough, I was talking to my grandfather and my grandmother, and I was like, why, you haven't invested any of this? Like, you haven't put any of it. They're like, no, they'll steal it. That's it. And I was like, why haven't you invested any? And my grandmother looks at me, she goes, oh, like on a slot machine. Like a gambling. Like you want me to do a gambling. So those people get richer on my money. I do a gambling. And I was like, I love you, Grandma.
Yo, that's so
You're not
fair.
wrong.
I think I may have told you this. So my mother's was always hiding it in pockets.
Yeah.
Various like, oh, we have a winter coat we never wear. That pocket's full of money. Absolutely. And I asked her about it at some point to be like, do you know why you do this? Like, and she was like, well, we can't trust the banks. And I was like, okay, why can't we trust the banks? And she was like, well, I don't know, your grandmother did it. And I was like, okay, why do we think grandma did it?
Yeah.
And she hasn't put that together yet. She doesn't have the like, oh, we do it because of, we're also Jewish on my mother's side. So she doesn't have the like correlation that she's put together of why we don't trust the bank.
She's just modeled what she does after her parents. Yeah. My grandparents were very much like, don't hold on to anything. Holding on to things makes you weak. No clutter, no things that you don't need. Yeah. And all the money gets hidden wherever you can hide it. Yeah. We found money behind paintings. Like in mystery movies where they cut the back off the frame and behind the paint, like they've hidden the jewels back there. Oh yeah. That shit was real. Like we found like a couple $100 back there. It's fucking wild. They was so like, funny. Listen, I make fun of the preppers and their bug out bags and everything like that because it's like, it's a little
much.
It's a little much. But like, when my grandfather did it, I was like, good for you, Grandpa. No, that comes from that. He knows why he does it. Yeah. It's learned experience.
And honestly, so fair.
So fair.
Absolutely so fair. I've been getting a lot of questions on TikTok recently about money because I posted a video about like.
Do they know that you don't have any?
Well. That was kind of the point of the video.
Oh, okay.
It was kind of the point of the video.
All right.
It was about like all of the things that you come to realize once you become financially literate to some capacity, all of the things that you realize you're kind of too late to start doing. And although you can start doing them, it was like, well, it really would have benefited me if someone told me when I was fucking 18 years old.
Oh, yeah.
And how many things that you thought you had to have a lot of money to do and didn't have to have a lot of money to do. So now I get a lot of comments about money. So...
Man, there's nothing cooler than opening up the internet and the channels of communication to discuss like money or politics.
Here's what I will say.
You know,
a lot of my videos go to the wrong side of TikTok. And I was very surprised because this has over 1 million views on TikTok, okay?
Humble brag. First of all, congrats.
Thank you. But I had a video last month do a comparable amount of views, and every comment on it hates me.
Oh.
Every comment on it hates me.
Listen,
and that was the one about cats and dogs.
That was about whether you're a cat person or a dog person.
I'm getting the most vile comments from dog people that are like, that cat fucking hates you and hopes you die. And then I talked about money and I was like, ooh, okay, this is going to be a little risky. I mostly got to like broke college kid TikTok, and the comments are so pleasant. They're such a bunch of sweet beans. I'm like, yeah, I'll help you find a credit card.
Yeah, cat versus dog is unfortunately a conflict, and you'd think it would be a benign conflict.
Yeah, I didn't
you'd think it would be a matter of preference.
Yeah.
No, preference is conflict on the internet.
Yeah.
And the algorithm will make sure that it rage farms that.
Yeah, the only negative comments that I'm getting are a bunch of people, like a few boomers that are in the comments being like, well, kids these days aren't financially literate because they just don't care to be. And that's why. That's the only reason. It's because they're lazy.
Yeah. Oh, no, they're
too lazy to understand how it works.
They don't care to be.
And it's a bunch of straw man arguments of people being like, I tried to tell one of my, younger friends about money and she didn't listen to me. So I keep just going and replying to those men's comment and being like, maybe they just don't like you.
Yeah, maybe you sound dumb.
It's weird because like if you look at the comments, you can see how many people are listening to me and each other. So like
maybe when you talk, it sounds like one of the teachers from Charlie Brown.
Yeah, maybe you should reevaluate the approach, mate.
And maybe you are bad as a person. Yeah,
I've been really enjoying that.
Yeah.
I've been getting a lot of joy out of replying to these people and being like, oh, maybe it's. Do you think if you look around and you see all these people listening to me, do you think maybe it's because it's you?
Yeah, and I just want to touch on the financial literacy taught in schools thing and say, well, that has nothing to do, I'm sure, with the slashing of funding to schools and the turning more and more to a standardized core competency or literally just using schools as a preparation mill for the SATs, which were created to literally keep people who weren't white out of college.
Yeah, all of that together.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. And maybe like, I don't know, kids learning how to balance a checkbook isn't really financial literacy.
Yeah, maybe
there's that.
Yeah, maybe that's weird. Maybe that's a weird old thing. I remember going in to learn, we had to take a certain amount of time in junior high for like typing.
Yeah.
And I remember we walked into the typing lab. It was fucking typewriters.
Yeah.
They were just like, learn to type. And we were like, no.
Well, you are the oldest man on the internet.
Not on this. I am the oldest man on the internet. But I remember walking in and seeing typewriters and we were all like, what?
Yeah.
And we were like, when are these from? And it's like, well, we've had these at school for like 40 years. I was like, yeah, of course you have.
Yeah.
Get a computer. They're like, no, those are in the computer lab. Those are for when you learn computer.
And that's separate.
You learn typing on typewriter. It's like, why don't you get some computers for us to learn typing on? It's like, it's money and you know how the state is.
Florida, everybody.
Florida. I went to the worst school system in the United States. At the time, it was the second worst. I want to just put that out there.
Okay.
Yeah, we were better than Mississippi at the time. Fist bump.
Nice. The argument that like, well, we can teach it to kids, but we can't make them care or absorb it. How many of you still remember state capitals?
Yeah. How many of you know and use A squared plus B squared equals C squared?
Right. Like how many of those things, there are ways.
There are things.
It can be done. And it is actually your job to figure it out.
It turns out that just through simple repetition of taught facts,
Yeah.
You can memorize them and learn how they work.
Yeah. All these people memorize their times tables. Not
So
me,
weird.
But
I refuse. I never will.
I never will.
I never will. Just out of spite. Hey.
Shall we talk about some of the stuff that's going on in the world?
Let's talk about some world stuff. I mean, while we're still talking about business, do we want to talk about the other big business?
Yeah, let's get into this other big business news.
Hey, you know the Apple Corporation? You know how the Apple Corporation, out of their magnanimous love for us, allowed us to have USB-C? They said, it's time.
Well,
they said,
on some of your devices.
They said, hey, it's time for USB-C. We're giving it to you as a treat just because we want to. We think USB-C is the latest and greatest innovation.
Yeah.
and we're happy to bring it to you from us at Apple, and it has nothing to do with the EU and them saying that we have to use USB-C.
And they haven't regulated that for any of our headphones yet.
So weird. Well, Apple has finally, out of the same graciousness and gratitude, has nothing to do with the European Union, I'm sure, is going to be allowing people to launch their own storefronts on the App Store.
This is something people have been pushing for a very long time. Obviously, leading that charge has been Epic and Fortnite. Pushing for and removing for a while Fortnite from there because they were launching that third party. It would open up the browser and you would pay for your microtransactions in there. And Apple was like, fuck you, you can't do that.
Well,
we're not getting a cut of that money, so choke.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the same thing if you try to buy a book on the Kindle store. Amazon says, hey, why don't you go to your web browser for no reason? Hey,
No
bud,
reason.
why don't you come over here to your web browser?
No reason.
That's because these large corporations are saying, hey, we don't want to give you 30% of everything we make, Apple.
Yeah.
We don't want to do that. And Apple's like, well, it's on our phones. And they're so you choke. And they're both just saying you choke back and forth. You choke.
No, you choke.
No, you choke.
You choke.
Back and forth forever. But having a third-party app store is actually, it's more than just we don't want to give you 30%. On a larger level, this can be a store that allows people to sell things that for whatever reason don't go according to Apple's guidelines for apps, don't go according to Apple's bylaws for what you have to do to make an app work, what kind of language you have to use, what kind of things. Apple has a very stringent approval process, which a lot of people say can be creatively limiting.
Yeah.
And this will allow people to use whatever apps they want.
Right.
With whatever functionality you want. There's a lot of apps that have perfectly reasonable functionality that are not allowed on the App Store. A lot of developers use an app called UTM. UTM allows people to run virtual machines.
Yeah.
For developers, running virtual machines is a huge deal.
Yeah.
They want to be able to, if you have an iPad, you want to be able to code on your iPad and then test your code on a virtual machine. And Apple says, you can't run a virtual machine here. That's gross. You run the iPad OS.
So with this, it's going to allow for a lot more things. And I think Apple's for a while going to be like, see, this is why you're getting shovelware. We told you should have just gone through the App Store. It's a thing that they supposedly do to regulate the quality of the apps that you can put on your phone and supposedly protect you, which is, the very standard Apple, like, no, it's okay. Like, if we have control, you're safer.
By the way, this is the App Store, which was built on fart noises and flashlight apps.
Yeah.
You remember the most popular app on the App Store for the first year the App Store was out was you could take your phone and make it look like you were drinking a beer. You could drink a fake beer.
Yeah.
And everybody bought it and they were like, look at what you can do.
Yeah,
and that was
99-cent app.
Quality app brought to you by the App Store.
Yeah, a lot of soundboards.
So many fart noises.
Yeah.
That's good apps.
Oh, there was an app that just flashed different colors on your screen so you could use it like a rave light. Remember that?
Yeah. It was good. It's good apps.
Yeah.
Apple wants to make sure that only the quality apps happen. This also has been holding back. It's been keeping a lot of these large corporations. This is another thing about corporate consolidation and monopolies. Microsoft has been wanting to have an official Game Pass app.
Yeah.
Microsoft has said, we want a Game Pass app on the App Store, but the way that the App Store runs is we would give you the Game Pass app.
Yeah.
And we would have to find a way to pay Apple 30% of the royalty that we give for the one play
membership,
that you do,
yeah.
like all that stuff. And it's like that math can be done.
Yeah.
And I think that when these large corporations are dealing with one another, that math should have to be done. That should be the cost that they have to pay to work with one another.
Yeah.
However, they won't do that.
No.
And Microsoft is now saying, hey, this is going to let us open up Game Pass on iOS.
Which I do kind of look forward to. That actually sounds pretty neat.
And Fortnite will be on iOS. But of course, all of this stuff is going to be in the European Union only. We don't know why. We couldn't say why.
Wonder why.
We couldn't say why it's only in the European Union. It's so crazy. But I'm sure we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll figure out why we're not getting that in the United States.
Yeah. The BBs have some requests.
Sure.
For a Pixel Circus app.
Yeah.
So my question for the BBs then is, what would a Pixel Circus app do?
Fart noise or beer?
Like, do you open a Pixel Circus app that's our logo, and then it just makes it look like you're drinking a little Dr. Pepper out of an It's Too Early mug?
Little Dr. Peppy?
Yeah, it just looks like an It's Too Early mug.
Yeah.
Dagger live cam. That's my pitch.
Everybody keeps saying Dagger live cam.
And yeah, everybody being Alex.
Well, I've been asked for a Dagger live cam a million times.
Okay.
And we have as well. And
Yeah.
here's the thing about Dagger live cam. If this motherfucker even feels a camera on him,
Leaves.
he leaves.
He simply leaves.
He knows. He
Yeah.
knows when you point a camera at him.
He doesn't like it.
It's fucking wild.
Yeah.
He'll be asleep across the room, and I'll pull out my phone and I'll just be like, oh, he's so cute. I'm going to take a little picture.
Oh, yeah.
And I see him go like this and then turn his face away from me.
He does. That's very true. Alonzo has an excellent suggestion for a Pixel Circus app, and that's CoStar, but Pixel Circus. Anthony, have you used CoStar?
Yeah, of course. I date in LA.
Yeah. Well, on CoStar, you open it up each morning, and there are all of these like recommendations of what you should and should not do for your day, based on your astrology. So I'm gonna open up my CoStar right now. I'm gonna
Okay.
tell you what my do's and don'ts for today are.
Sure.
And then we could write our own do's and don'ts for a Pixel Circus app.
All right.
Okay.
I can bring up mine
so,
too.
do, all right? So first of all, through Sunday, are you living life with training wheels on?
Whoa.
Do.
Think about
soup, lounging, loose leaf tea. Don't. Plot twists, the blues, and deflation. But do soup.
Yeah, no, that sounds right.
Alex, you on CoStar?
Not anymore. I used to be. I could probably re-download it the same way that I wasn't on TikTok.
Alex isn't on CoStar anymore because Alex is in a relationship.
Yeah. Alex doesn't have to date in LA.
Wow.
You don't need to be on CoStar if you're not dating.
Today, there's a little voice in your head telling you that it's selfish to slow down. It's not. You haven't accepted that you have to let go. Express how you feel. Try not to externalize your distress. Now, hold on.
No, try
That
not
was pretty,
to.
That was pretty conflicting. You said you haven't accepted that you have to let go. Okay, that's kind of unrelated. Express how you feel. Try not to externalize your distress. What if what I feel is distress?
Complicated.
Bottle it up?
The stars are complicated. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, what are your do's and don'ts?
Let's see. I don't know. Hold on. I have my daily thing says defrost your heart. which I think is just a David Lynch thing.
You have to go just below the main quote, and then you get your do's and don'ts. Showing Anthony how to use CoStar.
Memorize 2024 is the year that I memorized the entire dictionary, is what it says.
You got to keep scrolling, dog. Mine also says to validate all of my own feelings, all of them, everyone. And hey, I'm going to tell you right now, as a mentally ill person, no.
Okay, do security blanket,
Okay.
aphrodisiacs. Don't say that.
No.
Don't tell people to do that. And a fly swatter.
Do a fly swatter. Do fly swatter.
Do a
Not
fly
do
swatter.
a fly swatter. Do fly swatter.
Do fly swatter, not do a fly. Do
Yeah.
fly swatter. It's important when you're trying to when you're doing divination. You have to really listen.
Yeah.
You can't add your own. You can't do a fly swatter. You have to do fly swatter. Don't hurt feelings.
Valid.
Don't dramatic gestures. Don't regrets.
Don't regrets.
Hey, everybody, don't regrets. Defrost your heart.
I'm going to get that tattoo. Don't regrets.
Okay, I have mine up. If you
All
want.
right. Alex has got his.
Okay, here we go. First of all, my title is thinking your drug of choice?
Oh.
Ooh, very good for the overthinkers in the chat. Are you dismissing details? And then do cross-reference expert sources instruction manual.
Hey, that's kind of what you do for us. That's
That
kind of
is
your job.
kind of what I do. Don't charlatans rationalizing mental math.
Do not charlatans.
Don't you
Do
dare
not charlatans.
Do not charlatans.
It's saying do not think.
no
Sounds
thoughts,
good.
head empty,
Yeah.
says co-star.
But they are saying do your job.
Do my job.
Do fact check, cross reference, instruction manual.
Yeah, I'm willing to populate an app with personalized recommendations for people. I'm willing to do a Pixel Circus. Here's what you do today.
I mean, is it easier to make an app now? I don't know how app making works. I'm gonna
Yeah,
be
it's
honest.
pretty easy to make an app. Pretty easy.
Someday we'll set a goal to make an app.
Yeah.
That just gives you personalized recommendations for your day. It's all going to sound like that one Weird Al song that's your horoscope for today. Mm-hmm. It's great. All right, let's continue on things that are happening. Shall we?
Sure.
Let's talk about some games.
Okay. I've heard of them.
Let's talk about this big, giant gaming news, which is D&D in VR.
Yeah, this is cool. This is the Demio devs.
Yeah, so I've played and talked about Demio a good bit because when I played it the first time, it was still in like a beta and it was a little clunky. It was things where I was like, oh, this isn't done yet. But when it's done, it's going to be really good. And
this isn't done, let alone
really good.
Dungeon and Dragons.
Hey, and it was essentially a VR dungeon crawl. It looks like, and they do it where it like looks like miniatures. It looks like it's on a tabletop. So it's not immersive where you're like, I'm the archer. It's like my pawn of the archer, which is very like D&D tabletop.
Yeah, and it's cool. I like the tabletop / shoebox diorama sort of look and vibe for VR stuff. And I think it works very well, particularly for communal things. And, the moment we saw this, we were like, how long until D&D does one of these on their own or licenses this one?
Yeah.
And they did, D&D did show off a virtual tabletop that's in the works.
Yeah.
But this is a completely different thing.
Yeah. So the VTT is totally separate from this, but D&D, Wizards of the Coast, is now officially working with the Demio devs to create an official Dungeons & Dragons VR game. We don't know a lot about what the game is actually going to be right now. I would assume it is also that kind of virtual tabletop setting in VR, but that is obviously a guess. The Resolution Games founder and CEO, Tommy Palm, said anyone who has played Demio can guess that we are incredibly huge fans of tabletop role-playing games. So I would imagine that that's kind of what they're going for.
Yeah, I think they would build off the Demio base.
Yeah.
Use D&D aesthetics and rules and probably do like a pre-built campaign for you.
So the big thing is I think there's going to be a combination of things. So in Demio, you can do something that is kind of like just like a campaign that runs, but somebody can be in the dungeon master seat and be the person running it and building out a custom scenario for you. So I see there being a version like that. And I see, as somebody who has play tested the virtual tabletop for Dungeons and Dragons, I see a place where like these two come together and make a fucking dream.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Do you think that this Demio, the Demio devs, do you think the D&D thing that they're working on will have a place for somebody to be a DM, or would Dungeons and Dragons, would Wizards see that as competition to a product that they're already developing? Is there enough differentiation between the two of them?
I definitely think there is, because this is just for people who have VR headsets.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It is so separate, and a bunch of people aren't going to go like, oh, for our home game, we're all going to buy VR headsets now.
No, but
it is a different experience in the way that you play it. And having played both, your VTT on like coming to, D&D Beyond and Dungeons and Dragons official is a companion to your existing game, right? This is a different thing. This is for remote play with your random friends that you play video games with. I think it is going to be more targeted to video game players.
Right.
Whereas the virtual tabletop is for tabletop players that are currently using either the old school D&D Beyond one, Roll20, something of that sort.
So the modes of play, the way they actually play with a DM at the helm, you think will be different enough that they can be. It's not just like, because for me, my question looking at it from the outside is why not take the VTT, the virtual tabletop they're already working on, and add a VR component or a VR mode to that rather than license out and, profit share with a third-party developer.
I mean, either way, Wizards of the Coast doesn't have in-house development for, for VR. So they have to work with a VR studio no matter what. Yeah. Because it is a totally different process in building a game. I think the biggest things that you're going to see is just that like they're both Dungeons and Dragons, but they're going to be in such different mediums that I'm not really worried about it. And I don't see it playing like an RPG where it's like, oh, here's your defined story. I do see it being probably more like Demio, where it is like, oh, you can set up a scenario where it's like, oh, go to this dungeon, right? You've got a very standard dungeon crawl, and it's like, oh, there's a bunch of, random like goblins that are guarding this treasure.
Yeah.
And you can go in and just like jump into existing scenarios. Thank you, Alex, for pulling up. So this is some footage of what Demio looks like.
Yeah. So with Demio, I mean, it sounds like to me, Demio is great for like, think about beginning groups of people who get together and you buy like a pre-made adventure module for D&D, right? Like you buy you buy something that the new DM can use. That's like the storyline is there. You can follow it. You can venture off from it.
Yeah.
But your scenarios are all built in. Like dungeons are built for you. Monsters are kind of there, and you can.
There is a
and you can mess.
customizable-
But that's
yeah.
what I'm saying. But you can mess with it. But it's not like a full toolkit for people who want to run a full campaign.
Yeah, if you want to role play, I wouldn't say that Demio is the game for you.
No, I'm blue skying the
D&D
the
VR.
D&D one.
So I think in that, again, I think it's just going to appeal more to video game players in the way that Demio, I don't think is something that super appeals to D&D players. It's not that it doesn't, but it isn't like, oh, D&D players all jumped on VR all of a sudden. I think it's going to appeal to video game and VR people. Like you can see on Demio here, it's like card based. Obviously, that's not official D&D, so they had to have differentiations. It's not like a D20 that you're rolling; they have their own dice system. But I do anticipate it being pretty comparable to this. But in both, I do see you being able to build out a completely custom scenario. That's
That'd
my
be
guess.
cool.
Obviously,
Yeah.
I know nothing about this, and to be clear, even as somebody who does occasionally get to like play test and things like that, I have absolutely no insight into what they're doing with this.
I think either way would be cool. I'd love it if it did have the DM component to it, because that would show that they're willing to be flexible and offer up things that are, while they're not like directly competing products, they are things where it's like, you know, it's like when you buy the starter set versus like your big manuals.
Yeah.
And I think it's fun to apply that analogy to digital stuff too.
I think the difference is no matter how many overlapping features they have, they're always going to be for different audiences. So I don't think it's a worry.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
they know that it's just not the same people. So it doesn't matter if you can do the same thing in both of those like different, offerings, because they're just different people doing it.
I love anything that's like little minis that come to life. There's something about the little minis that come to life.
Yeah.
Like ever since like way, way, way back in the day, did you ever see Battle Chess? Do you remember Battle Chess?
Of course.
Oh my gosh. Like I think the only reason I learned to play chess as a kid was because Battle Chess existed.
That makes sense.
And like, I just love little things like that. I was even fascinated by when Toys to Life was the big thing.
Yeah.
Like Skylanders and all that stuff. I
Yeah.
was just like, this is such a cool idea. I love toys coming to life. Toys coming to life rules.
Still love toys coming to life.
I know.
Barbie, baby.
Barbie baby.
In other video game news,
There's more.
there's more
There's
video
more
games.
video
Would you
games?
believe it? Would you believe there's more games?
How? They fired everybody who makes them.
Which is probably why it's taken so long to make Skull and Bones.
Skull and Bones, baby. They've restarted that one internally about 87
Oh,
times.
100%.
But we're close to beta now.
So
Supposedly.
Skull and Bones is holding open beta in February. Now, February starts in like 6 days,
Yeah, February is like,
5 days.
it's happening.
It's the 26th today.
Yeah.
So February is like happening. And supposedly that means that in this very next month, there is an open beta for Skull and Bones. If you are not familiar, Skull and Bones has been in development for 36 years.
Skull and Bones was actually the second video game after Computer Space.
Yeah.
When Computer Space was created in the university lab, the guy next to the guy who made Computer Space said, I'm going to do the same thing, but for pirates.
Yeah.
And that's when Skull and Bones started.
And ever since, they've been promising us a game called Skull and Bones.
I interviewed the developer of Skull and Bones in 2017 when I hosted YouTube's E3 coverage. And the game was coming out that year.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Was it coming out that year?
So Skull and Bones has been in for a while. Now, IGN recently released 20 minutes of what they're calling endgame gameplay of Skull and Bones, which shows like, hey, you've got the coolest pirate ship and you're a top tippy-toppy pirate. Here's what the game looks like.
Yeah.
And listen,
It looks pretty good.
it looks pretty
It actually
good.
looks pretty good.
It looks pretty good. It's been in development since Computer Space.
If it's really good, I don't even know how to respond to that after all this time.
I know. What do you even do?
What do you even do?
How do we even navigate a world in which Skull and Bones exists and we want to play it? What do we do?
I don't know how to live in that world.
I just
As somebody who loves pirates and loves the game Sea of Thieves, this game does greatly appeal to me.
I mean, look, this is Ubisoft started working on this not even after Black Flag, after Assassin's Creed 3
Yeah.
had ships.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it was 3 that had the ships for the first time, and then 4 was Black Flag.
Black Flag's actually the only Assassin's Creed I've ever played.
Right, because it's pirate.
Yeah.
But Assassin's Creed 3 had ships, and everybody went, we want more ships. And
Yeah.
2 teams began working inside of Ubisoft. One was working on Black Flag, and one was working on Skull and Bones. If you think about how long it's been since Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Yeah.
That's
that would
how
be
long.
2000.
That's
Because Black Flag came out in 2013.
That's 1973, Saige.
Yeah. Sorry, I meant 1973.
That's 1984, the year of the Olympic miracle. And
Yeah.
let me tell you, this game better be polished and tweaked and the best. And
Oh my
also,
God. It better be
also,
so done.
the number of shanties that are in this game, it better have thousands.
God, it better be so done and so shanty.
I better be collecting 87,000 shanties in
Yeah.
this game, all with orchestral accompaniment, all
Yeah.
with its own hurdy-gurdy soundtrack. Do you think, is there still excitement for this genre and this kind of thing? Do people know the name of this game in a bad way? And do people still want pirate game?
I think if it actually is a finished and decent game, it's going to be fucking huge.
Yeah.
I really do. I still think it's going to be huge. I think there's going to be enough of the like name familiarity and people that have been waiting so long for it. And I don't think anybody who's like, well, it took too long because they've known about it is not going to play it.
Yeah.
There's plenty of reasons to not play it, but
No, but
I don't think people with the like, oh, it's been in development for so long are not going to play it. I think it's going to be like, well, I mean, I should check it out if they've been working on it for this long.
Sure.
I think it's actually going to build to the hype cycle.
I do think a lot of times when a game has had an extremely long and troubled development like this, people do take a little bit more of a wait and see attitude. Like,
Yeah.
I'm still excited, but let's just wait for the reviews on this one because they had some problems.
I mean, here's the thing. Regardless of the problems with Cyberpunk coming out and being a garbage game, look at how fucking big it was.
Yeah.
Look at how much money they made. And how many people have still waited out the problems and how many awards it's still winning.
That's fair. That's fair.
And Cyberpunk was also one of those games that was announced 100 years before it was released.
Cyberpunk's an ongoing game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Cyberpunk
As in,
is,
they continue to try and make it a game.
yeah. I'm still pretty excited about this. I think this is going to live and die
Yeah.
very much by the amount of single player and offline content they add to it. I think if anything makes people wary right now, it's another game as a service. I think that makes people go, how long do I get to play this before it shuts down forever?
Yeah, and I think also adding like single player content is where you fill in the gaps of Sea of Thieves because Sea of Thieves is only fun to play with other people.
That's right.
You can sail around by yourself, but no one's going to recommend that.
Yeah, it's not cool or fun.
Except for one of our mods, Calmer, who like really lives and dies by the like solo sail and Sea of Thieves. But most people don't because it's not fun.
Here's the thing that Calmer doesn't know is like all the other pirates are laughing at him. No. All the other pirates are just like, there he is.
Solo sailing just isn't fun in Sea of Thieves. It's difficult. The game's not built for it, and other people take advantage of it, and it's brutal. So
a lot of people are saying cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
Some people are saying, and this is, Dreadful Ghoul in the live studio audience is saying it's so rare these days that I feel the need to buy any game at launch.
Which, fair.
Yeah. Also, Alonzo, of course, is saying also good luck with Ubisoft servers.
Yeah.
And then Sam Curtis D, probably the best thing I've heard, and this makes the most sense from a business perspective. If they add Pokemon and guns, it'll probably do well.
That's true.
Add some
I
Pokemon
don't know.
and guns.
I can confirm as somebody who still engages in pirates a lot and still gets a lot of response to our pirate series. They still love pirates. People still love pirates.
Hey, people love pirates.
People love pirates. Actually, yesterday they did like an official tabletop role playing day on YouTube, where they did on the YouTube Spotlight.
I saw some friends.
We're in there.
I saw some friends.
Yeah. So Pixel Circus was featured in it.
No big deal. We're just
No big deal.
famous now.
No big deal, but Salt and Serpent was featured.
No big deal,
Well,
but
just saying.
you can't look us directly in the eye anymore.
Yeah.
No big deal. Since Pal World was mentioned,
Yeah, let's talk about Power World.
let's talk a little bit about Pal World. We've been waiting. Everybody's been waiting to see what the Pokemon Company has to say about Pal World. I don't know why. I don't know why.
Yeah.
What do the two games have to do with one another?
Yeah.
I don't know why. People have been waiting for the Pokemon team to make a statement. They've been waiting on the Breath of the Wild team to make a statement. They've been waiting on the Fortnite team to make a statement.
The Pal World dev did make a statement on the accusations of AI art used in the game.
Sure.
And basically was just like, how dare you?
Well,
Which
dude,
is pretty funny.
you did make a game. They did previously make a game that was based on AI art.
Yeah.
That had AI art in the name.
The guy did say, hey, that's disrespectful to our artists.
That's fair.
And was like, our artists worked very hard on this game. How dare you?
Sure. But that's not the statement everybody's been waiting on. I mean,
No.
some people have.
Yeah.
but
I just wanted to throw that in there.
But the big statement that everybody's been waiting on is, what's Pikachu think about this?
yeah.
What is businessman Pikachu? You remember the salaryman Pikachu that you could only get from the Pokemon Center, where it was Pikachu in glasses and a suit with a briefcase?
No, that's cute.
Yeah, they do a different Pikachu like every month. There's a salaryman Pikachu, and everybody was like, business Pikachu? What do you think about this Pal World game? And the Pokemon Company, through their spokesperson, Business Pikachu, has said, we intend to investigate and take appropriate measures to address any acts that infringe on intellectual property rights related to the Pokemon. Not related to Pokemon, but related to the Pokemon.
Yeah.
They're speaking about them as though they are actual little guys.
Yeah.
They said, they pointed at the little guys and they said, you see these? These are the Pokemon.
Yeah.
You're taking money, you're taking food out of the Pokemon's mouths.
When you're being mean to me, this is what I look like if you even care. This is who you're being mean to.
This is who you're being mean to. It's
This is whose copyright you're infringing on, if you even care.
It's 87 different Eevees in different colors and flavors, according to Pal World. Now, they did not mention Pal World by name.
No, they said that there was a game released in January of 2024 that they will be investigating because a bunch of people have told them to. Basically.
Yeah, we have received many inquiries regarding another company's game.
Yeah.
We have not granted any permission for the use of Pokemon intellectual property or assets in this game.
I think if Pal World had come out and performed like a normal fucking Steam game, this obviously wouldn't be happening. But Pal World has been shattering Steam records, has had millions upon millions upon millions of concurrent players. And naturally, that's going to get the attention of Nintendo. We talked about this, and obviously this was through the Pokemon Company, not through Nintendo officially, which are,
Nintendo
co-owners.
does own 50% of the Pokemon Company.
But when we talked about this, you were like, I don't think so. And I was like, I think, like, just as a show, they have to, because of just how big it is.
Yeah.
They have to at least look into it. And there are a few things that were, a few different pals that were egregious, that people were saying you might have used like as a base, essentially, the like 3D model of a Pokemon to build off of. And we don't know if that's the case.
Yeah.
And that would be the thing that I think that they can like validly investigate.
Yeah.
There is like grounds for that. And then I also mentioned that there was that massive mod where it actually put Pokemon characters into the game.
They shut that down immediately.
They shut that down immediately, which we expected. But if those mods keep popping up, there is grounds to be like, well, your game is only succeeding because of our game.
Sure.
And there is something that can be done there. And there's no such thing as fair use in Japan.
Yeah. Here's the thing. It's
Both
tough.
companies are based in Japan.
That's true. But the infringing is happening by people outside of Japan. That becomes a completely different thing. That's what I'm saying.
But if it's in the actual game.
And even mods that are total conversion mods have always been around, and they are, it's tough to strike at the actual game.
Yeah.
It's easy to strike at the modder.
Yeah.
And as far as like the Pokemon Company investigating whether they base their pals off of Pokemon, Alex, could we show my screen, please? I don't think they have a leg to stand on here, because each one of these pals is a unique and special creature that does not look anything like any pre-existing IP that I've ever seen in my life. That's a Cremus. That's clearly a Cremus. I look at that and I think Cremus. There's nothing else to think.
Yeah.
What would you think other than Cremus?
It's so interesting because like we talked about this in the very beginning, and I was like, I, even as like a huge Pokemon and Nintendo fan, feel no need to like come through for this billion-dollar corporation and be like, protect Pokemon's IP, Yeah. And so I was like, okay, it's fine, whatever. But as we've seen the kind of people that have latched onto Pal World, They pushed me in the other direction so hard. Like I was like, I'll try it. Like it's kind of silly and that's funny and it'll be fine. And then we've seen the people that have like laid their fucking like, this is the hill I die on about it being like, this is an original game and it's really good and how dare you? And you know what? Just because one thing might look like a Pokemon doesn't own the concept of little animals and you're discounting how much original stuff is in this game and how dare you? And also fuck you, die, woman.
Well,
you know? So like, because
look,
Pal World fans are giving pipeline, and I am really not enjoying it.
But look, yes, that's true, but also like, like it's 100% true. But also, this becomes it does become a very interesting question, like we were talking about the other day when. For a while, when first-person shooters became a thing, they weren't called first-person shooters; they were called Doom clones.
Yeah, because
they were clearly just Doom. Side scrollers were called Mario games.
Yeah. I don't care that it is a Pokemon-like.
Right.
I don't care. There are obviously things that are egregious that you can do a Pokemon-like without doing. There are obviously things that are very intentional in that. And like, that is totally separate from it being a Pokemon-like. And we can't use the like, well, Pokemon's a genre now, because that's not the problem anyone has with it.
Right.
Because nobody's saying that about Cassette Beasts.
But once again,
nobody's saying it about Cassette Beasts.
Once again, Saige, I'm going to point to Cremus.
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to point to Cremus and tell you.
There's so many other examples of like pet collecting games that are inspired by Pokemon. And my personal favorite, Cassette Beasts, I think is an excellent example. It is clearly heavily inspired by classic Game Boy Pokemon games. It's still completely original, but it is in that genre and it couldn't exist if Pokemon hadn't existed first.
But Saige,
that is taking the genre and being like, yeah, it's a Pokemon-like, and now we're creating a genre.
Here's the thing. You got to think about whether you can eat a Cassette Beast, and you can't. And so because you can't eat a Cassette Beast, I don't want to hear about it anymore. It's a completely different argument.
All right,
Okay. Can you make your Cassette Beasts assemble little guns and ammo for you? No, you can't. So I just want everybody to be quiet because Pal World rules. Actually, the worst thing about Pal World is that it is so derivative and boring once you start playing it that it's just such a waste of all the hype that it has.
I just don't get why this is the hill these people want to die on.
Because they've always wanted to eat a Pokemon or have a Pokemon shoot a gun.
Like, it's okay to be like, yes, I know it's derivative and I still like it. Okay. But all these people who want to die on, it's not derivative. Like, literally Moist Critical throwing down to be like, this is an original work of art. And that's just...
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Charlie might have overstepped on that one, I think. Hey, Chaz, you can defend it without going to the mat for it.
Like, it was a lot and it was unnecessary. Like, but I mean, look, he goes to the mat for everything. Let's be real.
That's his thing, is going to the mats. But, you know...
one real bad take a month from that guy, you know?
It's derivative of so many things.
Yeah.
Pokemon is the most obvious one from the aesthetics.
Yeah.
But it is such a ripoff of every survival thing. There is nothing super unique about it.
Yeah.
And none of the systems come together well. The best take on it I saw was Donkey's video on it, which was, it's just called How to Get a Gun in Pal World.
Because it takes so long and it's so difficult to do.
And it's a 10-minute video where he's like, all he's doing is punching trees for wood, because that's all you do. Like, the resource management is awful. The loops to build anything in that game, awful. It's a boring game.
Why do people so badly want this to be something?
Because people have wanted Pokemon MMO of any kind forever.
Yeah.
And people have wanted a modern, well-running 3D Pokemon forever.
That's not who's doing this, though.
But
it's not. I stand
Those
by
are not the most vocal people, and those are not the people that are slinging the most takes.
So that's what I'm saying.
But in terms of the popularity and why people are behind this game, that's why. There simply has not been an online multiplayer Pokemon MMO, and people have been screaming for it since it started.
And I would love that, but the people slinging the takes on it, the people that are loud about it, are people that are also insulting Pokemon with it and hate Pokemon from it, and that are all like, fuck Pokemon, this is a good game. And it's such a weird take where like nobody asked you.
I think there are a lot of people.
I mean, like, what a weird thing to have to say.
I think there are a lot of people that are like, that do believe this is what Pokemon should have grown into with them as they quote unquote grew up. And I think
because there were no more children after them.
There were no more children.
They were the last children.
But that's the thing, is I'm not saying it's a good take.
Yeah.
I'm saying that there are a lot of misguided people who have been wanting this out of Pokemon.
I think people just like that it's taboo. I think that's it.
There's a lot of that too.
I think people just like the fight about it and are enjoying it.
Oh, listen, anytime you ask why is this thing turned into a thing, you have to say that at least 20 to 30% of it is people just want a thing that they can scream about.
Yeah.
And whatever is the thing.
Yeah.
Like 20 to 30% of anything that's going on the internet.
Yeah.
That's what it is. When you make a video about dog people versus cat people, 20 to 30% of the people are screaming at you just because it's like, ooh, I found a thing to scream about.
Yeah.
Like that's part of it.
Yeah. It's
the
just
other part of
edgelords
it,
being
Saige,
edgelords.
is that the pals are completely unique and original creatures.
Yeah, of course.
Must I bring up Cremis to you again?
Yeah, please.
You a little tiny in the frame? Yeah, I'm a little tiny in the frame. You're just a little guy? You're just sort of a little guy in the frame?
Yeah, the problem is I was actually kind of just looking like a little guy.
You were sort of like a little guy.
I was looking like a bit of a little guy.
Like a small guy in the frame.
Yeah, hopefully now I'm looking a little
like
less
a pal
like a
from
little
Pal,
guy.
like a Cremis.
Yeah, like an original pal from
Like
Pal
like a
World.
little Cremis. Is there something else going on in games? Have we seen anything else in games? What's going on? Is anything going on?
This isn't huge news.
What the fuck is happening?
Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has announced their first season, and they've given you a playable Joker from another universe. As described by PC Gamer as a camp insecure 20-something with a rocket umbrella. So this is, oh God, I have to find it in an 11-minute video. Come on.
That's ridiculous.
Come on. Clip out the bit.
Clip the bit.
Come on. Show me the little bit.
Let me just look for a picture of this guy.
Yeah, here he is. Really like lanky little Joker.
Okay.
I got it on my screen, Alex, if you want to show it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's giving the Onceler a little bit.
It's a bit of a Tumblr sexy man. It's a bit of a Tumblr sexy man Joker.
It's giving a little bit of the Onceler for me, and
It's
I
a
don't
little
want
bit
it.
of a super Hulock Joker.
Yeah, and I don't think that I want a Tumblr sexy man Joker.
But they made it for you.
They didn't.
They did. They thought they
No.
made it for you.
They've
They made it for you, Saige.
look, a lot of people misconstrue my vibe.
Yeah.
And that is one of them. That is not it
They
for
made
me.
it for you, and
That
they
is
got
not
you an
it.
Emily the Strange backpack for your birthday.
Yeah. I'm in therapy now. So it's not really for me at my big age.
Actually, I found a really good close-up of him. Alex, can you show my screen? This is a close-up of the new Joker. This is a completely original Joker. Do not steal.
Okay. All right. All right.
So this is a playable Joker?
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Cool. What do we
Okay,
have to?
cool.
What do we unlock him? Like, was it a pre-order bonus? How do we Joker?
Look
Like,
at
what do
this
we?
outfit.
That's basic. Saige, that is. I hate to say it, but once again,
look-
2 steps removed, if not a step removed, from your dating history.
I understand that I have dated multiple people that do look identical to this 20-something insecure Onceler of a Joker. I understand, okay?
Yeah.
Again, I have an ex that all of my friends refer to as the carnival barker. Mm-hmm. He wasn't a carnival barker. He just gave off that vibe.
Yeah.
But then I went to therapy. Hey, specifically for my people who date men in the chat, okay? As much of a mistake as it is for us all, but listen to me. If you find yourself frequently gravitating towards people who give off a little bit of a carny vibe, who are giving off this Onceler, 20-something, insecure Joker vibe, it's time to go to therapy. I promise. This is not a judgment. This is somebody who's been right there with you. But please find a therapist.
I'm sorry. And also, I'm sorry. I have a real picture of the Joker from the Suicide Squad game on my monitor now. I'm sorry. Can you bring it up? We can actually take a look at this and this is actually not bad. Now that I see it, it's pretty good. That's a good Joker. Now that it's like taken away from the trailer, and I can see like a good, like clean key art of that character, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah. The tagline on this PC Gamer article is so funny. It says, "Reject modernity, become vaudeville." Oh my God. So
wait, Alex,
stop.
Can you please show? I have a better.
Anthony!
Just bring it up real quick because I don't think it looks that bad.
Okay, that's the last one.
The Onceler Fandom 2K15. Yes, we're still out there.
Okay.
Hey, Alex, as our resident youth, can I ask you? This is a real question for you. The vaudeville thing.
Yes.
It's big. The classic radio transatlantic voice, like I was watching Has Been Hotel, and like one of the main characters is the radio god.
Yeah.
And then like even thinking about like the digital circus where they have like the carnival barker with like the classic transatlantic voice. What's with the youth and the fucking vaudeville right now?
I think it is. Now, do you want my real opinion or a goofy opinion?
You go with your gut. Whatever you think is important.
I think in queering spaces, and not just queer people, but I use queering as like otherness and like non-traditional presentation, whether it's like non-white, non-straight, non-cisgender. You do tend to see fringe cultures pull from things like vaudeville or like circus aesthetics as well, and there's like this long history,
right? Like a theatricality,
drama,
playing a character, a drama,
a flamboyancy,
flamboyancy, all that stuff.
As somebody who called it the circus, circuses aren't technically gay, but they do feel.
Circuses are pretty gay.
They feel pretty gay.
They feel gay.
And there's also those like spaces that are reclaimed, right? Because some of these vaudeville spaces do have long histories of racism and oppression, but then those spaces can also become things that we like take hold of and reuse. So I do consider this Joker to be transgender. I will say that.
Well, that's when I heard 20-something insecure, like I was like, are they finally giving us the people's Joker?
Yeah.
They won't release the movie, but they'll bring out the character?
I mean, not my ideal character if you want to go for gay.
No.
You know?
No.
Not where I would go, but it's exciting, I guess.
It's, I do enjoy a sort of going back to not a golden age, but like a silver age, like Joker, like the Cesar Romero Joker from the Batman TV show, or even like an 80s, like slightly darker, but still like the goal is to be funny in some way. And even like in the beginning of the animated series, like one of my favorite episodes of the Batman animated series is when the Joker kidnaps everyone and hijacks a TV station to do a Christmas special.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it is sinister, but it's still funny.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is something that like over the last 10, 15 years, the dark knighting maybe of the Joker is like, oh, he doesn't want to be funny anymore.
He's literally the Joker.
Like it's like I understand like the joke has turned more into like an absurdist philosophy, a nihilist absurdist philosophy.
Which is very millennial.
Yeah, but I also just like it when he wants to shoot like a bang gun.
Yeah.
You know?
I think there's a few things to add to this. One is that to each generation, a fandom around top hats
Joker is born.
As somebody who grew up in the Panic at the Disco, A Fever You Can't Sweat Out generation.
That's what I was going to say. I was like,
we cannot ignore.
There's a little Brendan Urie in this Joker.
A freshman high schooler, Saige, was deeply in love with a Brendan Urie in a top hat.
There's a little bit of a Brendan Urie in this Joker. Am I right?
Thing at the moment, okay?
Sort of a thing, right?
We cannot ignore that to each generation, a scrawny boy in a top hat for them to love is born. And if this one's is the Joker, that's fine. But I also feel like in the level of like, there is an almost camp and queerness to this that sits in a place for me that activates something of the like hetero adaptation of queer flamboyance that is a little scary in our like, all of those like kind of creepy straight guys that have that like, but I'm a soft boy. Like
I'm an ally.
Yeah, I'm not like that. Oh no. Look,
It's the ghost of early 2000s Brendan Urie.
You can't sweat out. Brendan Urie cannot hurt you. But I really do. There is a thing that this Joker activates for me that doesn't quite activate into my like I love a queer camp circus thing, and it activates into the straight interpretation of a queer camp.
Do you think we're
thing.
getting queer baited by this Joker?
I think that we're getting straight people don't really understand what they're working with. You know what I mean?
Well, when you look at his aesthetic, and
I don't know who made this Joker, to be clear. I don't actually know their sexuality. This is just a vibe that's giving off to
when
me.
you look at this Joker and you look at the way that most games, like you look at the way that Arkham wanted to do Harley Quinn, or most people want to do Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
It comes from the same place of like not understanding what Harley Quinn's about.
Yeah. They're like, we want to do what the kids are into, but we don't really get why they're into it.
Yeah.
A little bit. So with this, it's that like, oh, we all were like, hell yeah, I love men and eyeliner. And then bad men were like, so if I put on eyeliner, I can gaslight you and have you think that I'm a good guy? Shit.
And also, it really does bring out my eyes. This is a win-win-win.
Yeah. So, not all guys with painted nails are the queer dream we hope they are. You know what I mean?
So do we know, do you have to pay for something to get this Joker?
I think it's like a season thing.
Do you get season pass gives you the Joker? And then you get to play as the Joker?
All they did was talk about his design in this article. Alex, would you be able to check that for us and find out how to get, if somebody wants this vaudeville 20-something insecure one-slur Joker, how they could get it?
It does say 3 seasons will be free if you bought the game, and then the paid items are cosmetic only. So I'll look and see if he's
I'll check and see. I mean, if this Joker is available for everyone, I think that's great.
Yeah.
I am still. Have we upgraded to guardedly optimistic about Suicide Squad?
No.
Is that where we're at, or no?
No.
Because I know you were still feeling a little more positive about it than I was after the last thing.
Oh, no, not after the last thing.
Oh, no.
I was
Okay.
devastated after the last thing.
Okay.
The whole lead up, I've been like, hell yeah, this game. Hell yeah, this game. And then we saw all of the boring gameplay loops and the fact that none of the characters play differently. And that was a spicy bummer. So no, we are no longer sitting in the cautious optimism. We are sitting in a dark place of realism at this point.
Okay, good. Then we're all in the same place.
I wish we weren't. I wish I was happier in the last one.
Sure.
I was so much happier then.
Speaking, like, here's the thing about games like this.
Okay.
And why we are not so optimistic about them. This is something that was posted on Kotaku this morning, and this is exactly, I would have thought this was a headline from Hard Drive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would have thought that this was a parody headline. New game announces release date and also shutdown date in same tweet.
What is that? Why?
This is a mobile game that has been out in Japan. It's based on Love Live. Love Live, of course, the anime, the transmedia 360 fucking all-encompassing brand that is Love Live in Japan.
I know nothing about Love Live.
Oh, they got to be a girl band to the best of their ability.
That's pretty cool. I'm pro girl band.
Love Live has a lot of mobile games. The most recent mobile game has been out in Japan for a year. It's been delayed over here. It's finally coming out, and it's only going to be out for 2 months before they shut it down. And of course, as a mobile game, it's based on tons of micropayments.
So what's that about?
It's just about like these games tend to shut down after a couple years. It's already wound down in Japan.
So then why release it for 2 months? 3 months?
I think
3 months?
I think the idea is the game's already here. We were already localizing it. Let's see if we can make a little money in 3 months. Although I can't imagine, like, who would spend microtransactions, micropayments on a game that you know is going to go away? Now, in the past, Love Live games have allowed you to transfer some of your saves and stuff to the next mobile game they release.
So maybe they'll have another one that pops up right away, and that's why they're like diverting their attention to it.
Maybe.
And they want to try and drum up something because they're maybe, okay, here's my theory.
Yeah.
Because there's not even a business reason that I can see for this. Again,
3
if
months,
you take all the
3 months of
humanity
money, baby.
3 months, but it's like, well, why wouldn't you give yourself, if you've gone through the process of localization, you were like, that was a lot of work, we got to release it. Why wouldn't you give yourself more than 3 months? And why wouldn't you wait to announce it? Like, there's all these things that they could do that would be smarter business
Right.
moves if money was the only goal, right? So my thought is, maybe with this one, they waited too long to localize, right?
Yep. It
The
did get
next one
delayed.
coming out is maybe coming immediately everywhere, right? they've learned how to localize these games. So maybe the next one is having a like simultaneous release that is
Well, this
releasing
isn't the
in
first
English
Love
and
Live game that
localization.
they've localized.
Okay, but maybe this one's coming out at release. This is just a theory. I'm theorizing entirely.
I don't think
maybe localization's coming out at release of the next one. So the goal is to get people in and to have them be like, shit, I really liked that for 3 months. And they're like, hey, transfer it over to the new game, play the new game.
Nah, here's what I think.
No.
I think your biggest market for a Love Live game is Japan. Your biggest market for mobile microtransaction-based games is Asia. They have had that game for a long time. This release got delayed, but it was already ready to go. They're going to make as much money as they can in 3 months, and then they're going to do what corporations do, and they're going to say, we lost a little money on this one. We're going to write that off on our taxes and line go up. Imaginary line go up.
Maybe imaginary line just go
Real
up.
money don't matter. But this headline is so indicative of why I'm always like, hey, why are we still getting excited for another persistent online squad-based microtransaction season pass, blah, blah, blah. Like, how many of these things can release to the point where it's like, yo, we're going to put this one out for 3 months.
Yeah.
We're already shutting it down. We've started laying people off and moving on to the next product. But if you want it, here's some money that we can have.
All right.
It's so fucked. It's so fucked.
Well, if games are bad, maybe we should talk about movies a little bit.
Okay.
Hey, everybody. Remember, after the success, the absolute fucking smashing box office hit, Barbie.
Yes.
We saw that Mattel was like, we got to make a ton more toy movies.
Right.
And
We were
knew.
like, Mattel will obviously learn the right lesson from this.
Yeah.
We'll only make just movies when the time is right.
Yeah.
And the idea is right.
Yeah, and the collaborators, the creative team is just right. And then they announced, hey, we've got like 1 billion IPs and we're just going to start developing movies for. And we were like, oh, okay. And they didn't say which ones. They were just like, hey, there's a bunch more Mattel IP that we are starting on movies for. They said a number, and I don't remember what that number is.
73. 742 Mattel movies.
Well, we finally have a little bit of info on one of those movies. Are you ready? Everybody, guess a Mattel IP.
I mean,
okay,
are we getting
you have a second?
Are we getting a new live action Masters of the Universe?
Okay.
That seems like an obvious place to go.
Yeah, that could be it.
Wow, like there's so many things that they could do. I don't know any Mattel toys.
I don't know what else Mattel owns, if I'm being perfectly honest. I want to say Polly Pocket is also Mattel.
They do have Polly. We
could be getting a dope-ass Polly
We could be
Pocket
getting.
movie.
We could be getting Hot Wheels. We could be getting an American Girl movie.
Whoa.
We could be getting Thomas the Tank Engine.
Yeah, no, we're getting Bob the Builder produced by J-Lo.
Now, I've always thought that J-Lo has a unique and important thing to say about Bob the Builder.
So for people that are of a very specific age demographic, you may have grown up with Bob the Builder. I distinctly remember that when Obama, I couldn't say the word Obama, and I said Obama.
Obama means family.
Thanks, Obama. When Obama announced his campaign slogan of "Yes, we can," I was like, that's Bob the Builder's
You can't do that.
Y'all remember that? I don't know. It had a moment for me because I was part of that age demographic if it was on television when I was a kid. So Bob the Builder is a children's show about a construction worker, and they are making an animated movie
Yep.
with Mattel. And for some reason,
We can fix it.
Jennifer Lopez is involved.
Yeah. A description of the movie says it will focus on Roberto as he travels to Puerto Rico for a big job. Bob the Builder Bob has been short for Roberto.
Yeah.
And so Anthony Ramos from Transformers Rise of the Beast and Hamilton will play the titular character while also serving as producer. No director has been chosen, though they're looking at Philippe Vargas to write the screenplay, who wrote Rosario and Milk Teeth.
Okay.
He takes on, the whole movie is going to follow Bob as he takes on issues affecting the island and digs deeper into what it means to build. Bob's journey will celebrate the vibrant and colorful textures of Caribbean Latin nations and their people.
Which sounds lovely. It's just, is that show even still on? I don't think so. Because like that was on when I was a kid. So I'm just curious where the audience is for this, or if they're trying to find a new audience for it. Is there a reboot series that I don't know about? And why is Jennifer Lopez producing? I can't say any names this morning. I'm on like so little sleep, y'all. Give me a break. Moving so hard.
It looks like it ended in 2018.
Wow, that went for so long. I had no idea.
20 seasons?
2018?
Yeah.
So
Whoa.
I think it sounds
Someone said
interesting.
it was rebooted in the late 2010s. So maybe
Gotcha.
that's why. Because I'm like, there's no way it was the whole time.
Yeah.
Because I was a child in the
Did we know
40s.
that much about Bob the Builder's personal story in that show?
I don't think so, but I didn't watch a ton of it as a kid.
Yeah.
But like,
I don't know.
he was definitely of Latin descent, and I like remember very little of it.
Yeah. I think it sounds very interesting. I like the idea of what it means to build, the idea of going on a big like contracting job, and the same way Barbie took on a lot of identity issues.
Yeah.
I like the idea of a Bob the Builder movie that takes on the idea of there's building a building.
Yeah.
There's corporate building. There's commercial building.
Yeah.
And then there's actual building.
Yeah.
And I think that's fun.
And look, the show was very sweet. And they put here the show's ability to promote positive thinking, problem solving, and empowerment with a completely original story set in Puerto Rico puts a new spin on a beloved brand. We can't wait for new and existing fans to connect with these amazing characters.
Now, does that sound to you like a better film than Vin Diesel's Rock'em Sock'em Robots movie, which is also in the works?
Yes, fuck Vin Diesel.
Do you think it has more to say than Vin Diesel's Rock'em Sock'em Robots movie?
Yeah, I do think it probably has more to say.
Now, remember that these robots, they rock 'em and they sock 'em, and then rethink your answer.
Yeah, I'm going to stand by it.
Okay.
I think it's interesting. In this IGN article, they say, as we've seen with flicks like Dora and the Lost City of Gold, modern movies based on children's programming. Hey, what about it that you were like, because that's a live action movie.
No, if I was going to think about, one children's property that was turned into a movie that talked about social issues for everyone, I would say Dora and the Lost City
My
of
problem
Gold.
is it just feels like they were like, oh, a movie set in Puerto Rico? What about this other movie that had Hispanic people? It has nothing in common because that was a live action movie. And I will say, that movie does fucking slap.
That movie does slap.
That movie slaps. That movie is great.
There's a part where they're on acid.
That is not really for kids. Like, this definitely sounds like they're doing an animated children's movie. And that was a not really for kids adaptation. Kind of. Like, it's fine. It's perfectly kid safe. But like, it was more of a like whole family live action adaptation of a show.
Saige,
so it just feels like they were like, I know one other thing with Hispanic people. And you're like, hold on.
Saige,
I don't know why we're referencing that.
I'm looking at Mattel's portfolio of IPs right now. Alex, if you could bring this up. And trying to think of some things that maybe we could pitch on for Pixel Circus. Do you think we should go for Mattel's Flush and Frenzy or Gas Out? Now, before you answer, I think we could also maybe pitch on Handemonium. It's not what you think.
Are you sure?
It might be worse.
Oh, no. How about Hackin' Packin' Alpaca? Is that... Now, there's rock'ems and sock'ems in the robots, but there's hackin' and packin' for the alpacas.
Can I tell you something?
What?
Something about Hackin' Packin' Alpaca feels like cultural appropriation if you and I work on the movie, and I don't know why.
Yeah, probably not for us.
I don't know why. But
most things are if you and I work on them.
But Gas Out and Handemonium...
Yeah, I would
think-
say we could try our hand at Handemonium.
Yeah. I could also...
Hug and Talk?
I think we could do something great with Hug and Talk or Jingle Baby.
Okay.
What about Jingle Baby?
Okay. I'm looking through a lot of these here. Yeah, Hypnos. I don't know what that's about. What are all of these things they own? What is that? Scroll around some more. Give me some more.
I will bring
looks.
back. I will bring back the Incredible Crash Test Dummies, and I'm not
Crash
even
Dummies.
joking.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking about that. Incredible Crash Test Dummies had that TV show that looked like Reboot.
Yeah.
It had that early 3D animation for TV look.
Yeah, I remember. It was great.
What about Hot Birds? What about Hot Birds? It means something different in England.
What makes the birds hot? What?
But that's the thing, Saige. What makes the birds hot is self-confidence. That's what our movie's about.
Sometimes you just see like a really confident pigeon go by and you're like, I'm not saying I'd fuck that pigeon.
No.
I'm saying if I were
If I
a pigeon.
was a pigeon, though, that pigeon's got confidence, got attitude.
kind of got game. Got a little bit of riz on that pigeon.
More like risen.
Yeah, a little bit of that pigeon riz.
He is more like he is risen.
All right.
Now I'm just saying things.
Yeah, those are just words. What else
It's
is
just
here?
words. I would like to make a Kerplunk movie as a $300 million
Okay.
big budget disaster film.
Ooh.
Think about Kerplunk. The whole city's going Kerplunk.
Okay.
All right?
I like it.
Timothy Oliphant
Oh,
is the architect of the city of the future.
unexpected.
He has created a city based on the Kerplunk system, which uses futuristic technologies.
Okay.
And is completely unbeatable, except Saige.
Yeah.
There is one weakness in the system.
What is it?
The marble. And marble stands for something. It's an initialism, but I don't know for what yet.
Okay. All right.
But there's a marble, and it's the power source of the entire city.
Yeah.
And somebody, I'm gonna say like a Will Smith.
Okay.
Like a smooth heist guy, but he's doing it for reasons.
Okay.
Steals the power source from Kerplunk City.
Okay.
And sends the entire thing going into disarray.
Yeah.
What do we think about that?
I'm in. I'm in.
I'm thinking about getting the Moonfall team
Oh
involved.
yeah, that's good.
You know?
I'd like to do a horror movie based on Chatterphone.
Now, I would love to do a Chatterphone horror movie.
Right? That'd be pretty good.
We focus too much on things that look like creepy tiny dolls. Chatterphone.
Chatterphone's where it's at.
Because Chatterphone, also on wheels.
Yeah.
Here's the thing
I
about
don't know if they're seeing it, but I am showing.
Here's the thing about the
Chatterphone.
horror movie about where the phone rings. You know, the mysterious phone. It's
Yeah.
like, don't pick up that phone.
Yeah.
The phone is fucking following you down the hallway.
Yeah.
It do be on wheels now.
Yeah. I actually forgot about these Cube World.
Oh.
Those were sick toys.
Can I tell you
those
something?
Those were dope as hell.
For your birthday, I
Yeah.
nearly bought you some Cube Worlds on
Those
eBay.
were awesome. I forgot they
They're
existed
little
until
cubes
right
with
now.
stick figures.
Yeah.
And when you stick them together, they would walk into each other's cubes and interact.
So cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Damn. I forgot
Very
those
cool.
existed until right now. I'm seeing a lot of stuff on here that I think we could do a lot with, like Bye Bye Diapers.
Yeah. Or Little Mommy. Yeah. Right here. Little Mommy.
Yeah.
What? What? Here's the twist. She's her own mom.
Here's the thing.
She's her own mom.
Well,
and not in the sad way where she's a latchkey kid. No, but in a weird, like maybe a time loop multiverse way.
Ooh, that's kind of fun.
Little Mommy is her own mom.
I feel like this is actually, what you're showing on your screen right now is actually a great depiction of how the world views women and mothers specifically, which is mommies separate from people.
Yeah. No, and they're
Not
little.
people.
Little mommies.
Yeah. There's little people.
Yeah, here's little people.
Yeah.
Here's little people.
Separately,
Separate
not
from
people,
little
mommies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think all of these could be a movie.
My child.
What the fuck? It just says my child.
That's all it is, and it's the worst logo I've ever seen.
There's no fucking brand to that. There's no hook.
Nah, my child. They didn't even use up the whole heart.
So what is that? That's my vacuum.
Yeah.
There's nothing to that.
God.
There's nothing to it. Well, now
Pixel
wait a minute.
slap.
Did you see Princess Mommy? Now that's
Hold
something.
on, no, it isn't.
Yeah,
Where do you see Princess Mommy?
It's going in alphabetical order. Can you find Princess Mommy?
Mommy!
Princess Mommy!
Okay. This is a movie about a kid who has a normal mom who is secretly a princess. Okay? And one day they find out because they see something in a newspaper.
Okay.
An old newspaper.
Sure.
Hidden in the attic.
Right.
That has a photo.
Yeah.
That looks just a lot like their mommy, who is secretly a princess of some small European country.
Isn't that already 18 movies?
Yeah. Princess Mommy. Yeah, Princess Mommy. You know what I will say? Hey, I get a lot of clips from Trisha Paytas's podcast from, what is it? Trish Talk or something
Sure.
like that. Her husband, man, if anyone look, that man loves Trisha Paytas
Yeah.
so much.
You would have to.
There's a clip from the podcast where she's all dressed up as Glinda the Good Witch,
Sure.
okay? And he was like, I didn't know what you were. Like, you look like this all the time to me. And that's very sweet, and that's fine. And he was like, I thought you were like, I don't know, it's kind of like a fairy thing. She's like, I'm Glinda, whatever. And like, she's like, yeah, I tried to show it to my daughter, and she was totally unimpressed. And he was like, yes, you look like this all the time. And he was like, when we go to Disneyland, she's going to look at the princesses and be like, oh, wow, there's more people like mommy. And that's one of the sweetest things I've ever heard.
Bless his heart.
That's one of the sweetest things I've ever heard. And it was from Trisha Paytas' husband.
That's truly...
He said, we're going to take our daughter to Disneyland, and she's going to look at the Disney princesses and be like, wow, there's other people like mommy. What?
That's truly unconditional love. That's truly
so cute.
Unconditional love.
What the hell?
We gotta go.
Oh, what time is it?
We gotta go. It's 10:30. But before we go, I just want to say, be sure to get to movie theaters and pick up your souvenir popcorn buckets for Dune 2. These are real. These are real. Pick up your souvenir popcorn buckets for Dune 2. Stick your hand, and only your hand, into that popcorn bucket for Dune 2.
Everybody, thank you so much for joining us for today's show. We do this show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific. If it's not 9 a.m. when we start,
that's handemonium.
That's on your clocks, not ours. Don't you worry about it. You can catch the show on Twitch, live. You can catch it on YouTube, not live, later. You can catch it on Spotify, also not live. That's not how podcasts work.
Yeah.
But if you want to listen to it there, or
read a book.
If you don't have Spotify, you can get it for any of the paid tiers on our Patreon. It is available to everybody, all of our little members over there.
That's right.
You don't have to pay to Spotify. You can pay a little bit to us instead.
That's true.
It's less than a Spotify membership.
It truly is.
That's all I'm saying.
And you get more. We're just going to say that.
You do. You get a bonus clip from It's Too Early every single week, including one today, because today is Friday. Yeah. So we've got a ton of stuff that we didn't get to talk about today that will be exclusively over on the Patreon.
That's right.
That's patreon.com/Pixel Circus.
And do remember, even if you do not support us monetarily, though we do love it when you support us monetarily, you can support us in so many other ways. And a lot of you are already doing that. We love seeing you tweet when the show goes out, sharing the show with new friends, hanging out in the Discord, sending in story suggestions. All of that stuff is wonderful.
And just showing up to watch the show.
Yeah, absolutely. We make a show so people watch it. Did you watch it? Fuck yeah, we accomplished our goal.
Including Ethan, who just dropped in at the end and said, I just tuned in. What the fuck is this popcorn pocket pussy?
Hey.
Hey, Ethan.
Hey. You can only stick your hand
Only
in
hands.
It. Only hands. Only hands.
Onlyhands.com/Pixel Circus. Anyways.
Now, to be fair, that's also a lot of people's policy before marriage. So Ethan's not wrong.
Anyways, we are going to go through and we're going to thank everyone that supported us directly during the show. But first, Anthony,
yes.
Where else do you exist?
Oh, unfortunately, here on the material plane all the time, whether I want to or not, but also online at A Carboni everywhere, except for Twitch, where I am at Anthony Carboni. Twitch, you cowards, it's mine, give it back to me. And there's a new episode of We Have Concerns up this week. It's a science comedy podcast I do with Jeff Kanata. This week's episode is all about the guilt we feel over not attending things.
Ooh.
And whether we need to feel that guilt at all. There's a new study about it.
Okay. Science, tell me if I'm socializing, okay? You can find me on the internet at Not Saige everywhere. I'm not streaming a lot this week because I'm moving. That's it. How about you, Alex?
Hello. You can find me usually on the internet, on Twitter and other places at Aldermancy or Alder_Mancy, or go to my website, alexteplitz.com, because I just put up a new link to a really cool interview I did with Saige about behind the scenes of They're Here. So go watch that.
That got posted?
Yeah.
I had no idea that was out.
The video, the BTS.
Oh, yeah. Definitely go watch
the interview we did?
Yeah. Huh. Oh, no, not that interview. The
behind the scenes
I did
video.
With you, yes. The behind the scenes
video.
Yes,
Okay,
that
great,
one.
great.
If you
not our
haven't
interview.
If you haven't yet, go to the Pixel Circus YouTube and watch the making of the movie.
Yeah, I spent a long time editing it. So if you want to check that out, there's a 20-minute behind the scenes. We're calling it our little mini doc on the making of They're Here. It is like a full retrospective on set clips. If you enjoy behind the scenes content, please check that out. You can
It's
see
really
me and Alex
cool.
talk about it a lot.